Hey everybody, Eric Dorward here with the Spartan Rocketry Club, continuing my build of the Estes BOSS belt object survey ship. Yes, now it's time to put this big disc wing business together. And so we've already done the first half. We've assembled the two pieces of balsa, and now it's time, we're going to kind of like laminate this. Fortunately, we don't need to go this alone, nor do we need to trim anything. We've got two pieces of cardstock here, and you could cut this with a knife. I'm not going to. I'm just going to very carefully remove it by hand. It's laser cut, so they're just the tiniest little bits to remove. We do have to do something about that. We'll get to that in a minute. There are also a bunch of these little holes cut into this. Those we need later, so as tempting as it would be to throw this piece out, I do need those, so that goes off someplace safe. This is all set. This, I am going to use the knife now to cut these out, and I'm just going to slice right through little burrs, and that should be good to go. Alright. Now, this is, like I said, it's going to laminate both parts. It doesn't really matter which one goes up and which one goes down for the time being. I mean, technically this part goes on the bottom and this goes on the top, but it really makes very little difference at this point. We're going to laminate it with a bit of wood glue. I don't think, it probably doesn't matter all that much where you put the glue. The instructions say to put it on the paper rather than on the wood, but I doubt it makes too much difference. So I'm going to put a ring around the outside and then just kind of smear some glue elsewhere. I do, I want to spread this out a little bit. It doesn't, it would be nice to have nice good coverage everywhere, but that's not really necessary. I just want to get the stuff in the ring that I put by the edge, I want that spread out close to the edge. I do, to keep this from delaminating, I think the edges are probably the most important spots. The interior would be nice to have too, of course, but I don't think it matters terribly. Alright, so I'm going to then put the wood right over top, and I want, of course, to line the little slits up in it. That's what I'm going to use to see if I got this right. I can flip it briefly. And it doesn't, that's interesting. I would have expected it to be a closer fit here, but whatever. I mean, okay, doesn't really make much of a difference one way or the other. So I'm going to leave that face down. I am then going to do the same deal with the top part here. I'm actually going to put a little bit more, maybe spiral it in. And again, I'm only going to really worry about the outermost edge, I think. So I'm going to spread that a bit. And again, once this is ready to go, we're not just going to trust gravity to help us out here. We're going to give it a little hand. We're going to use a weight to smush this down so it is it doesn't have bubbles or anything like that. Alright. Again, I'm just plopping this on top. I'm going to try to center it as best I can. This one doesn't have any guidance, so we're just going to have to make do. Alright, that looks pretty centered. Yeah, reasonably so. Alright, so again, I'm going to put some weight on it. I'm going to use this ring of masking tape just to spread things out. It's close. I wish it were a little bit bigger, but it's pretty close. And then I have my big old weight of baby powder. I'm just going to leave that on top, put it over to the side, and hopefully in a bit that will be good to go. All right, so that takes care of, well, at least most of the work on the top bit. Now I'm going to work on the engine pods. Now these are, well, they're decorative, kind of, but they also actually act like fins. So fun. All right, so we're starting off, and we need to make these little. Now this part is decorative. We're making little, I don't know, plugs for body tubes. All right, so all this stuff needs to get punched out. I don't have any glue on my fingers, which is nice. If I did, I should definitely go wash them off before I start messing with this stuff. I'm going to punch out just these big ones by hand. The other ones, I'm going to use a knife, and I am going to try to figure out, wait, these aren't cut the whole way through. That is, oh, I understand. Yeah, the instructions, these are centering. So this has been burned part of the way through, so I am not cutting that out. Yeah, so let's just cut these out because these are too small really for me to use my fingers to punch them out, I think. So I'm going to need those. Yeah, so we're gonna stack these up. I get it now. So the burn marks on the top of these, they don't go through the whole way because they are just for centering purposes. Yeah. Okay, that actually pretty clever. Pretty clever, good people at Estes. Very nice. Because otherwise I would be left to my own devices to try to center these. And, you know, I center the wooden thing I just made, but, you know, the less work, the less guesswork, I should say, the better. All right, so these are going to end up being stacked kind of on top of each other, like, you know, like this. Actually, not like that. Those, I guess, don't come along for the ride just quite yet. So one little dot, one medium-sized, and one bigger dot, and those are going to get, they are going to get laminated all together with this one eventually too. Let's get to work then. I'm just going to put all the way up with that. We're open. Oh, that's way too much. Put a little glue here and then spread it thin with my piece of balsa scrap. I prefer not to get extra glue bubbling out here, but like I said, I'm pretty confident that was way more than I actually needed there for the top part. That's going to be hard to mop up because this is so small and so delicate. Delicate's not the right word. I mean, it's pretty tough stuff. But definitely go light on the glue here. Maybe this is one that I'm going to apply, you know, for the other ones, that I'm going to apply to the bit of balsa, or the, you know, my balsa scrap, and then like paint it on. That might be a better plan. Yeah. I expected that to be a little bit better set up, but it wasn't. Yeah, because I ended up, it looks kind of ugly. Let's try this the other way then. Let's get some glue over here, and I will try painting. Just a dab will do you, apparently. It might have also made sense to put glue on the smaller object rather than the bigger one. And even that, yeah, I would recommend, having done this now and not being too thrilled with the results, I would try putting the glue on the smaller object rather than the bigger one. Probably, I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place, but too late now. That was better, at least. This one I used an appropriate amount of glue on the last part, but still, you know, you can see, well, maybe you can see, I don't know. I don't entirely know why, but whenever I work with glue and it gets kind of smeared out, it tends to get black, and I think that's from the laser cutting. You know, the edges are charred, basically. All right, last but not least, these are going to get laminated onto the back We're on to the last circle, like so. I just want it lined up as best as possible. I think that this circle is slightly smaller, so this is supposed to fit inside of the tube, and this is supposed to be like a stopper. Alright, makes sense. That's probably not enough glue, so I'm going to have to put just a dab, and then I've got a little bit left on the stick, and that ought to be more than enough. This is yet another in a long line of examples about how little glue you actually need in order to do a lot of this work. You'd think more is better, but it usually is not. In fact, it's usually quite a bit worse. Alright, we'll let them sit, at least for a bit. We might, I'm kind of feeling like that's probably not going to end up getting done in this particular phase. I want that to dry thoroughly before I try to apply it. Alright, so we'll do whatever else we can this particular episode. So these tubes, these are the engine pods, and I've drawn a line on them. I use the classic door frame or door jamb technique. The line can be anywhere, it doesn't matter, because there's just one. What I do need to do, though, is I need to measure 1/4 of an inch on each and every one of these lines, because that's where we're going to be attaching the little bit of balsa that's going to connect these tubes to the body. Okay, that's taken care of. Alright, the attachment, the anchor points, are in this sheet of balsa, which I have taken the time to sand, but I have not cut it apart. It's these two bits here, they're labeled L, so let's get them out. There we go. Alright, first try didn't really do much. I'm surprised by that. Alright, saving that for later. These, I'm gonna sand them down just a little bit to get rid of those burrs. Okay, and on the other side. Careful when you're doing this, because these are pretty thin, and well, I think that those are probably pretty vulnerable to snapping. That would be bad. Alright, let's, in the remaining, we're not going to deal with those, so those will have to go in the next video. What I'm going to do, though, is I am going to put these yellow bits, they're going to go, just inside, not this side. They're going to go just inside this end, not the one I marked. And I don't know. I'm not entirely sure why they go inside there, but they do. They don't, I mean, this isn't for a motor mount. I'm not entirely sure what they do, but perhaps just decorative, maybe it's structural, not entirely sure. Alright, so we'll put a little bit of glue on the inside of this. Glue's feeling kind of hot and heavy today, so I don't need anywhere near as much as that, I think. So I'm going to smear, I ended up putting about half as much glue, or I put glue about halfway around, we'll put it that way. Alright, so I've got a little bit of the way in, I'm just going to push it down against the table. That'll work fine. And same deal with the other one. Again, not the side I measured, the other end of it. Alright, this is going at a much better rate, so I'm much happier with that. And just spread it a little bit. Probably don't need to spread it with the stick, but you know, why not? Put it in halfway. There we go. Alright, I think this is probably a good place to wrap it up for now. I do want to do these bits before I put the little standoff parts here on pylons or whatever you want to call them. So this seems like a good place to stop for the time being. We'll check and see how everything went after the glue dried, and then we will continue from here. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.